what's up, y'all? It's popping in. Today, about to react to this impressive vid. This is Teyana Taylor exposes Pharrell and Kanye for not protecting her in the industry. What happened? She speaks on Beyonce as well. Was she fondled? What's going on? About to see. Let's watch.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the impressive Shanell.
But how was they supposed to
Teyana Taylor
her?
sat down with Angie Martinez recently, and the interview was very vulnerable, very insightful. If you get a chance, please watch it. It was a good interview. But one thing that stuck out to me in this interview was Teyana talking about the moments that she had in her career that her team failed to capitalize off of. Teyana has been in the entertainment industry since she was a teenager. At the age of 15, she was signed to Pharrell's label called Star Trek Records, which was under Interscope. And Teyana was first introduced to the public on MTV's My Super Sweet 16 show. And she made appearances in videos like Jay-Z's Blue Magic video and Webstar and Young B's video Chicken Noodle Soup. She also was responsible for choreographing Beyonce's Ring the Alarm video. And Beyonce was highly impressed with Teyana. For Teyana to be so young, yet have so much talent and so much direction and vision was truly impressive. And Beyonce was even interested in taking Teyana under her wing.
I had already worked with Beyonce when I just got signed to Pharrell, and working with Beyonce, like her even asking me, like, what's your situation? You know? I would never forget that day.
What do you mean?
I had just signed with Pharrell, and I had worked with her on the Ring No Alarm video, and I sung for her. I was young, but I walked in like full of life. I was like, "Hey, everybody, I'm Teyana!" Like, oh, she loved it. She loved it, you know. So it was just like, you know, after we got the work done, and we kind of like just had a moment to like wind down. She was like, "What's your situation? Like, are you signed? Like, you know what I'm saying?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm signed to Pharrell. I just signed to Pharrell." She's like, "Is the ink dry?" And I was like, "Yeah," you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, honestly, like, you know, she's been so supportive. Like, anytime I run into her, like, she always knew everything that I had going on. You know what I'm saying? And she gave me genuine love. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't know I was signing for Pharrell. None of that. She was like, "What's up? What we doing?" You know what I'm saying? Like, she saw something.
She saw the thing that people
exactly.
Yeah. So early on in Teyana's career, she did get some major co-signs. In 2008, she released her debut single called Google Me. And this was supposed to be the lead single for her first album. However, this album never came out. The onus lied on Pharrell to make sure that her project was released. But Pharrell was way too passive, and also he was way too busy. Pharrell was one of the most in-demand producers in the industry at the time, and also he was making his own solo music and his music with NRED. And this is one of the main downsides to signing to an active artist. Because Pharrell was very active with his own career, he couldn't prioritize Teyana's career. Teyana was also very young too, so he probably didn't know exactly how to market her or push her. And in order for Pharrell to really get her that push, he had to answer to a higher authority. Even though he had his own label, he was still under Interscope and Universal. And he had to convince them to invest in Teyana, but he didn't really push hard enough for her. Now, this is not to say that he couldn't have done something, because obviously he was able to make things work with his artists Khalees, Slim Thug, The Clips, and Robin Thicke. But even with those artists, there were some complications on the business side. So Teyana was just one of the ones who really got left by the wayside. And this is one of the reasons why it's very difficult for an artist to sign to an already active artist, because a lot of times they won't be prioritized. I think one of the rare occasions where this has actually worked is when Nicki Minaj and Drake were signed to Lil Wayne. But success stories like this is extremely rare. And Pharrell wasn't able to carry Teyana on his shoulders. And Teyana was very...
And Lil Wayne's career wasn't active like that. Let's be clear. It wasn't like he was at the peak of his career at that time. I feel like he had already kind of passed his peak. He still was very relevant, of course, and still respected. But I don't feel like he was as busy as he would have been like years prior.
Very heartbroken about that, because she was
Pharrell
basically sitting on his label for
actively
years,
busy,
and nothing was really happening with her music. Pharrell was not only her mentor, but she also looked at him like a father figure. So she wanted him to fight for her harder, but he just didn't, and it really disappointed her.
had a really, 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 really deep and honest conversation with Pharrell. Because, you know, that he was the first person to sign me, and he was, you know, like a figure to me of some sort, you know? So it was just like, with him is why I hold him on such a high pedestal, because I didn't have a dad, you know what I'm saying? And he enjoyed me bragging about him, like, you know, calling him dad. It wasn't that he didn't protect me. I just think a lot of hands started going into the cookie jar. You know what I'm saying? And to me, as a 15-year-old, was you didn't protect me. You let everybody mishandle me.
Okay, that's just very interesting choice of words. That sounds very suggestive, but maybe she's referring to, you know, the industry, like industry-wise, but it just makes you side-eye, the words that she chose to use.
You know what I'm saying? When I signed to you, you know what I'm saying? Like, you let everybody get in the way. You let everybody break us apart. You didn't protect me, you know? You know, when I decided to depart from good music, not good music, decided to depart from Star Trek, you know, it was a hard conversation. He didn't want me to go. I got out of the contract and I was like, what, 22? That's a long time, you know what I'm saying? And you're trying to like figure out life and you're just like, I'm coming of age, you know, I'm becoming a young woman. It's like, I gotta figure this out. No matter how I felt when I was younger, like, none of these doors would have ever opened if it wasn't for Pete.
I love that 18.
So one thing about me is I just know how to give thanks. You know what I'm saying? To the people who has blessed me. I was really hitting him up to just like say thank you. You know what I'm saying? For everything. Because also knowing him as well as I know him, it wasn't the thing that you did on purpose. You didn't purposely not protect me. You know, he's so gentle, you know, and just kind of just like let everybody push him out the way. And I guess for me, that 15-year-old, that girl just needed you to fight a little harder. You know what I'm saying? Needed you to maybe push. Even if you didn't have the strength to, I just needed you to push for me more. You know what I'm saying? So that being my first experience and then going on with life and just constantly receiving disappointments or just a lack of protection, a lack of fight, you know?
After Teyana got out of her deal with Star Trek Records, she did sign to Kanye's music imprint Good Music, which was under Def Jam. Before signing to Good Music, Kanye actually had her featured on his songs on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy album. She was featured on Dark Fantasy and Hell of a Life. While she was under Good Music and Def Jam, she did finally release her debut album called 7, but unfortunately the album did not do very well. In the meantime, Teyana still kept her name out there. She was doing dance videos. She acted in movies like Stomp the Yard, Homecoming, Medea's Big Happy Family, and she made several television appearances. And also, she was a young socialite. She networked with a lot of young black entertainers in Hollywood. And on top of that, she was choreographing and doing a lot of things for other artists behind the scenes. Even though Teyana's solo music didn't make a lot of noise, you knew her name, you knew her face, and she still managed to stay relevant. And that was really a testament to her own work ethic. Teyana got a major break in her career when she starred in Kanye West's Fade video. Her appearance in the Fade video actually introduced her to the mainstream audience. And this would have been the perfect time for her to capitalize off of her new fame. But unfortunately, there wasn't a rollout planned for her. And this was one of the things that affected Teyana a lot because she felt like she wasn't able to strike while the iron was hot, at least when it came to her music. Now, Teyana was able to capitalize off of the Fade video in other ways. She got a lot of endorsement deals. She got a modeling contract. She had a workout plan. She was posted on a lot of mainstream publications. So she did get a lot out of it, but it would have been amazing for her music career if she was able to release a single or an album right after that video dropped. It just would have made business sense, and it would have catapulted her music career.
Like, it seemed like every time you got to the door, it slammed in your face. That was the feeling that I was having. You get what I'm saying? Even all the way down to Fade. Like, even when Fade came out, I told you, I didn't know that it was dropping. I think that probably like the day of, I still didn't really all the way know. I didn't know. I wasn't even there. I definitely want my just due. It's disheartening at times. It's discouraging at times. I feel like, damn, I work really hard. And to know that it's little shit. That's the reason why it's not going where it could be. Like, I personally feel like
politics.
After Fade came out, my album should have dropped at least a solid 2 weeks after.
Was it ready?
I had no album. I did not know when Fade was coming out.
Yeah.
It wasn't a plan. So it made me question if that moment was ever really about me anyway. The marketing guru in me was like, we dropping a song? What's up? With the album? What we doing? Like, that was me. But the other side of me was like, I'm not going to publicly look like I'm just like unappreciative. I appreciate the opportunity. But this is really about me.
To make it about me all the way.
When Teyana was signed under Kanye, she found her situation to be very similar to the situation she had when she was under Pharrell. She still wasn't getting the big break in music that she wanted. And some people might say, well, she didn't work hard enough. That's
I don't think it has to do with her working hard enough. I think it has to do with her shit wasn't popping. So they were, trying to release shit, but it's like, it's not hitting. The public isn't fucking with you for whatever reason. So they probably didn't know how to navigate after that happened. Because, she did drop a song or some songs when she was, under Pharrell's label. And apparently they didn't do that well. And then she dropped the whole album under Kanye. The 7 album, right? Was that under Good Music? So, yeah, I think it was just like, should we invest time and energy into this? You don't seem like you popping. Shit is not popping off like we wanted to.
Teyana put in a lot of work, and
I think that's why a lot of artists like currently have issues with putting out music, is because their labels are like second guessing if it's worth the continued investment. It's like, are we gonna get our money back? That's why they were so late to release Chloe's album. Her label, they were waiting for her to get a hit, and it never came. But, thankfully they still let her drop her album. But it could get to a point where labels like, no, you're not putting shit out. We don't trust that this is going to go anywhere. Same thing that Normani is dealing with. SZA had that issue too. They probably feel like, it's been too many years. Is this even going to do well? And she ended up doing extremely well. But I feel like that played into it. Them feeling like, are we going to get our money back?
Doing a lot of things by herself. Other people might say, well, she doesn't have the it factor. Well, clearly she has the it factor because people are still talking about her to this day. She just recently received rave reviews for her role in the movie 1001, and she's currently in the conversation to be up for an Oscar. And she's also gotten a lot of praise and cosigns from legends in the industry. So she obviously has the it factor, and she has good music, and she's an amazing talent. She could sing, she could dance, she could perform, and she could act, she could write, she could direct. She has all the ingredients, but it was a matter of finding the right recipe. And ultimately, she needed the right team behind her. Even though Pharrell and Kanye did what they could, they didn't really use their influence enough to get the label to back her because she wasn't really their main priority. In 2018, Teyana did release her album KTSE, Keep That Same Energy, and this was one of the high points in her music career. But even still, the rollout wasn't handled the best. It wasn't really prioritized by Kanye because Kanye was going through other things. He was in the midst of this whole beef with Drake and Pusha T. He was juggling his Yeezy brand. Also, he was producing albums for other artists like Pusha T, Nas, Kid Cudi. He was working on his own stuff. And then he kind of pushed out Teyana's project, but only made it 22 minutes long. So her album was not really high on the priority list, but luckily for Teyana, she was able to get a few hits from this album, including her biggest hit, Gonna Love Me. So it ended up working out for her, but she was completely unaware that her album was going to be so short and her verses were going to be cut. But Teyana did try. She tried hard. She fought hard for her music career. And in 2020, she did release her last album under Good Music and Def Jam called The Album. And this is her best performing album to date. After she released this album, she did announce that she was retiring from music.
Yes, I am going to feel underappreciated if I'm putting in 110% and my label is giving me, they're reciprocating, 10% of that. I asked Def Jam to drop me on almost 10 different occasions. And until I'm free, until I can get them to release me, yes, I want to retire. I don't want to do this anymore because the shit that it come with, it's not giving that. I'm my stylist. I'm my choreographer. I'm my director. I'm my everything that... So it's like y'all save money in so many different areas. So why don't you take that money and actually put it into some motherfucking marketing? I can't. So hopefully with my retirement...
That's kind of the problem. I feel like these artists... That's on pause. But I feel like these artists, they want to be too hands-on. This reminds me of fucking Chloe, where she's producing her own beats and doing all this shit. No, let the label put that money into you. What you mean you saving them money? No, don't save them shit. Let them pump that money into you so that you can relax, because clearly this is stressing you the fuck out. So let them hire someone to style you. Hire someone to put your dances together. Like, why would you feel like, no, I'm doing everything? And I would argue that them hiring people, it spices things up a bit, and it could probably make your shit better. But I feel like they kind of have this, I don't say it's a God complex, but you have this cocky, like, oh no, I know best. I'm gonna do the best choreography for myself. Like, No, have a professional choreographer come in and put your dances together for you. Like, what's wrong with that? If that's what the label is there for, have the producer come in and make you a fire beat so that you can have a hit. Like, what?
They'll let me go.
Now, from listening to some of these clips, one would probably think that Teyana is not satisfied where she is in her career, and that's not the case at all. Teyana did go through a lot of frustrating moments, but even with all the ups and downs in her music career, Teyana has still been able to stay afloat and be relevant in other areas. Right now, she's acting as a creative director, she's working behind the scenes, and also she's really starting to make a name for herself in the acting realm. Like I said, she's already up for the Oscar conversation because of her performance in the movie 1001, and she's set to even play Dionne Warwick in her biopic. So she's still elevated in her career, and also she has the support and love from her family. She's been able to build a brand with her husband Iman Shumpert and her children, and she still may release more music in the future. I don't think that door is completely closed, but right now she's venturing out and doing other things, and I do see a lot of great things in store for Teyana. And even though Teyana has expressed that she has been frustrated and she feels like she has missed some moments early in her career, she doesn't hold any bitterness at all. She's grateful to God, and she's also grateful for Kanye and Pharrell. She doesn't hold any bitterness towards them.
All of those no's, or maybe just if things wasn't happening in the timely fashion I wanted to happen, that I looked at like, okay, it's not happening. Every time it comes to me, is always something. That weight that I thought was punishment was God saying, no, baby, that was just preparation for what was already written for you.
At any point that you feel just like, why do I keep doing this? It's clearly not meant to be. Like, you ever get in your head that way?
Yeah, I have those moments, but the great thing about how I handle myself is I have that moment, and once I let it all out, I then have my conversation with God, and I'm like, just breathe into me, Lord. You know, just
what is that?
Wanting Him to breathe into me. If I could feel like, okay, cool, I can go on and do an interview with Angie because it's a safe space. If I feel like you a safe space, imagine what I feel with God. You feel what I'm saying? Like, the most
vulnerable. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and just literally, like, Jesus died for our sins, you know what I'm saying? For us, because we're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? So I have raw, honest conversations with God, and I think that that's what gets me through. And I feel like I do get answers quicker rather than trying to do it the way.
Do you feel like the answers come quick?
Absolutely. And I do want to just clear up one more thing. Like, I'm very, very grateful for Kanye, you know, and Pharrell. You know, I'm really happy that me and Pharrell was able to have a conversation, and hopefully the next thing is, you know, Kanye.
Anyways,
I'm glad she's happy in her career. That's all that matters. She has all these other amazing things going for her. So, yeah, maybe it wasn't in the cards for you to be this great, you know, music artist. Maybe, you know, your talents are better suited for these other things that you're doing. But, yeah, I think that people need to be honest about the fact that her music, it didn't really stick. People weren't really fucking with it. So that's a big part of, you know, whether you're going to succeed as an artist or not. Pharrell, Kanye, they can't force people to fuck with your music like that. So it's like, what else do you want them to do? And people want to talk about marketing and shit. Sure, that does play a role, but honestly, I feel like in this case, people just wasn't really feeling her music. I have tried to listen to her music as well, and I wasn't really fucking with it. Same with Chloe. Like, I keep trying because I do recognize that there is some talent there, and I want her to win. But it's like, when the music ain't hitting, it ain't hitting. People have to really feel your music. They have to really, you know, resonate with it and fuck with it and vibe to it, and like the production, like all of the pieces have to come together, and it just has not come together. So I think that's the real issue here, not Pharrell or Kanye. It's that your music wasn't really moving a lot of people. I'm sure some people love it, cool, but for the most part, people wasn't really fucking with it. That's what it seems like. Just my opinion. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all thought. Let me know what other videos you want to watch, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.